Let me ask you a simple question. If you do everything right, work hard, and save your money, play by the rules, should you be able to own a house? Yes, everyone would pretty much agree with that. But because right now, more than half of renters think they will never be able to own a house. 80% of Americans say homeownership is slipping through their fingers. The average first time buyer is now 40 years old. The average buyer overall is pushing 60. That is not a market glitch. That is a systemic failure. And no, this is not because millennials love avocado toast or because Gen Z refuses to hustle. This is the direct result of government money manipulation. Let me walk you through how they broke housing in four easy steps. Step one, inflate the money supply, or as economists call it, M2. Since 1959, the U.S. money supply exploded from under $300 billion dollars to over $21 trillion. Dollars. That's not growth, that's dilution of the supply. When you flood the economy with new dollars, you don't create more wealth, you spread the same value across more paper. Every dollar you already have buys less. We don't need to look any farther than groceries. Now put these extra dollars into a housing market with limited supply. More money chasing the same houses means, higher price. And that is always the case. So housing stopped being shelter and became an investment, a hedge against inflation. In 2024, investors bought one out of every four homes, not families, not first time buyers, investors trying to escape the very inflation the government created. Step two, destroy savings. Now, here's the cruel part. It's like the government breaking your leg and giving you a cast, saying, "Aren't you glad we gave you a cast?" The people hurt most by inflation are the people who save in cash. That is working class households. The bottom half of income earners keep far more of their wealth in dollars because they kind of have to. Bills do not accept stocks or real estate. So while politicians tell you to save more, the purchasing power of your savings quietly evaporates. Imagine a worker in the 1970s doing everything right, saving a quarter of his income, working year after year after year. Home prices keep rising faster than his savings can grow. Now, why would that be? Inflation. Not because he failed, but because the value of his money was quietly stolen. Inflation is the hidden tax that every American pays. It's not him 32 It took him 32 years to finally buy a home. By then, the price was seven times higher. That same story is playing out right now, today in 2026. Step three, force everyone into debt. You get debt, you get debt, you get bound and chained of debt. When savings stop working, debt becomes mandatory. Over 90% of home purchases rely on mortgages, not because debt is good, although some debt is good, but because it's the only way left. For 40 years, falling interest rates hid how broken this system really was. Home prices went up, but monthly payments stayed manageable because rates kept dropping. That was not affordability, that was an illusion. And now we get to step four. We break the illusion, that big crack. Then came the money printing spree in 2020 to 2022 with the coup. 40% expansion in under 2 years. Home prices jumped 25% almost immediately. And then rates went up. The same government that caused inflation slammed the brakes with higher interest rates. Mortgage rates doubled. Monthly payments exploded. Here's the part that should make you furious. It makes me furious. The total cost of owning a home using a 30-year mortgage increased more in 2 years than it did in the previous 40. And we also talked about in a previous video on this channel the 50-year mortgage. 2 years. That is not a housing crisis, that is policy failure. So now you may be asking yourself, Jeff, I've subscribed, I commented, I like. So what is the conclusion to all this? Homes feel unaffordable because they are unaffordable, but it's by design. If you already own assets, if you've locked in low rates, you are going to be fine. If you work for a paycheck and saving cash, you're getting crushed. This is what happens when politicians control money and central banks pick winners. I think we should get rid of the central bank. But here's the lesson, and it is so simple. You can't save your way out of a rigged system using the same currency that is fiat that rigs it. You have to protect your value in things that can't be printed for free: houses, precious metals, certain cryptos. See, this is not greed, what they're doing, this is survival. That's it for this week. I will see you next Monday. As always, stay free, stay informed, and stay accountable. Have a great week.